if you know that you're going to receive that objection, it makes you give a quicker response, which gives you more opportunities to have a lengthier conversation with the lead, as to oppose of them. Yeah, you're going to hit a brick wall and then you're going to stop. That's what's going to stop your ISA as well. So if we can't continue the call, that's going to give us less conversations at the end of the day. So objection handling basically helps us move past that.
Okay, folks, we are back. Another one of our great Tuesday topic sessions. We've got an interesting one. Right now, we've got Esau, one of our ISA coaches. He's one of the guys, that makes it happen in the background, working one-on-one with our ISAs, coaching them on. One of the things he coaches on is objection handling, right? So that's one of the things we kind of help the ISAs with. It tends to be very catered to their specific kind of campaign and their situation. But today we're going to talk about all kinds of rejections. We're going to go long, we're going to go broad today, right? And for a lot of folks that aren't familiar with, you might not be familiar with what I mean by objection. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. What I like to think about an objection, in fact, I'll take a step back. One of the things I like to think about when we're talking about scripting, because a lot of people, a lot of agents, they don't love the word script. Oh, it sounds too scripted. I don't want to sound like a robot. I don't want to sound mechanical. For me, when I explain it this way, people kind of get it more. For me, when we're talking about a script, what I really mean is you're probably memorizing maybe the first couple lines. Those you have to know by heart. And you've got to hit the right questions you got to hit during the script. That's for sure. You can even read those, right? Because they're not going to be, they're not super long questions. You might want to remember which questions you want to answer if you're qualifying the lead. But ultimately, it's about objection handling. It's about having a really strong intro, right? Knowing how to close for the appointment or the life transfer. You got to know that. Those parts are like set in stone, right? Everything else can go any way, any which direction. But the part you have to have ready is the objection handling. Okay. When people, when you have some really good responses to objections, I don't want to say you have to memorize them per se, because I never memorize them, but I know how the script goes, right? I know how to answer an objection in a strong way and in kind of a not so strong way, right? So I want to make sure that I try to remember the stronger way to handle it. Because folks, what we say matters. The words you use matter, right? You can answer an objection and handle it, move on to the next question in your script, or you can try and handle objection. They can kind of blow up in your face, right? If you don't use the right words, if you don't frame it in the right way. So that's what I mean by objection handling. And objection is just anything that the lead brings up to pause you, stop you, maybe even try to derail the conversation, go off on a tangent. It can be any kind of an objection, right? We'll give you a bunch of different examples. Esau, I mean, how do you approach the objection handling with your ISAs? Is it more like by script by script? Do you guys go on different lead sources? How do you typically approach that?
We mostly approached the objection handling by basically asking the ISA what's their situation or what they're having issues or trouble with. And like you mentioned, the script, most of us see script, oh, very robotic, very natural, but the way the script helps us is basically those little training wheels to get your ISA rolling. And a good script, yeah, has a very potent intro, getting them to know who you are, why you're contacting them. And the objection handling, I would say that sometimes that does help a lot, in the fact that if you know it by heart, if you know that you're going to receive that objection, it makes you give a quicker response, which gives you more opportunities to have a lengthier conversation with the lead, as to oppose of them. Yeah, you're going to hit a brick wall and then you're going to stop. That's what's going to stop your ISA as well. So if we can't continue the call, that's going to give us less conversations at the end of the day. So objection handling basically helps us move past that. If you have a quick response to any objection that you have seen in the past, you already know what to respond, and just give a quick response and continue with your call. That's basically what objection handling helps us at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Absolutely, and when you handle objection with confidence, you handle it like you're expecting it, it's coming. People will move on. People will follow you in the conversation. You kind of want to lead them you want to lead them where you want to go, right? You can't ignore objections. I really like the objection handling framework that I got from our old coach Dale Archdeacon out of a Smart Inside Sales. He says, you number one, you have to acknowledge it. Don't ignore objections, right?
Yeah.
You don't know if it's a serious one or a not so serious one, an important one or unimportant. Not sure. You should any objection you get, you should pause, acknowledge the objection. Oh, so I see you're saying that you're just getting started. That's a really common objection for internet leads. Oh, I'm just getting started. Yeah, I'm just, because they're saying, I
Browsing.
don't really want to talk to you. So, I really, man. I see you trying to talk to me. I guess you want to book an appointment with me. I'm not feeling it. I'm not ready yet. I really don't want to. I see no reason to. That's what they don't say it that way. That's what they mean, though. I don't see any reason to. My time is valuable. I don't want to waste it with this. I'm too early in the process. So what that's what they're thinking. What they say is, I'm just getting started. I'm really early in the process. You don't want to talk to me. You want to talk to those bottom of funnel leads. I'm not a bottom of funnel lead. Don't talk to. Let's not. I don't want to waste your time, Mr. Agent, Mr.
Exactly.
ISA. I don't want to. It's all about you. It's not about me. It's not me. If I were further down, I'd love to talk, but I'm not there yet. Right? They're trying to justify that, and the way it comes out really is, I'm just getting started. I don't think I need anything right now. I think I'm good. Right? That's the typical objection. So the acknowledgement would be, oh, I totally understand. It looks like you're just getting started with the process then, right? Yeah, of course. Great. Well, that's awesome because we love working with folks that are used to living the process. That's where we can add the most value, right? Would you like to know more about? And then, okay, I'm acknowledging the objection. I'm handling it, and then I'm directing them to the next thing, the next question. Would you like to know more about my VIP buyer program? Did you know about these great assumable loans out there? You want to go into TJ because when you're in that situation of someone just wants to get you off the phone and with an internet lead right off the bat, you got to go into value mode. Well, let me tell you about this awesome offer we've got. Let me tell you about our VIP buy program. Let me tell you about our off-market properties we've got available. They might be a good fit. Tell me a little bit more what you're looking for. I'd love to check out our off-market property list and see if that can help you. Does that make sense? How does that sound? Oh, wow. Now the conversation might continue, right? Otherwise, you're kind of dead in the water. That can be a difficult objection to handle because if you want to convince them that they're not just getting started, that's not, it doesn't make any sense, right? No, we should talk. I mean, I got this whole buyer consultation. Like, I don't want to do a consultation. I don't want to do this. I want to do that, right? But if you've got something valuable for me, I might have time for that, right? That actually helps me, right? Because buyer consultation might not make any sense to them. Like, why would I want a consultation? I'm just getting started. So acknowledge the objection, handle it, and then ask the next question. Move on to the next topic and move them where you want to go. That I really like that objection handling framework. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's very, very simple, right? So that's one way I like to approach objections. But that one is very common. I'm just getting started. No talk, right? So what are some objections you think are common when you talk to ISAs?
Another objection might be when they say, "Yeah, you know what? I is just curiosity. I'm looking at the website just for curiosity." And we always can say, "You know what? Curiosity is always good. It's always good that you are interested." And remember, this is something to remember. Value equals bait in this case. So if you have
100%.
value on your team, on your platform, if you have value in whatever you're doing, that's going to be bait for them. You're going to hook them and you're going to reel them in. So if they at that moment, I would have agents that would send out like for sellers, they were interested in just knowing the value of their property. We would let them know, hey, that's very good. So did you receive that information that we sent over? Yeah, but I was just curious. You know what? Curiosity is always great. Tell me more about that. We
We
want to
love
know
that.
at the end of the
I
day. Yeah,
love that, right? Like I should always be the answer. That's always the answer. Because you know what? I don't want to talk to you because I'm just doing this. I love that. That's the best news ever. Why? Because of this, and this, right? So that's like it's like the boilerplate response of whatever. Because the leads are trying to convince you to I'm not that valuable. You don't want to talk to
yeah.
me. Come on, like I'm just looking around. Oh, I'm just curious. Same thing happens when we're at a department store, right? Like the clerk comes over, can I help you out? Nah, I'm like, no, right? Like, no, can I help you?
We brush
No.
them
If
off.
you're
Yeah,
asking me, the answer is no, right? If they come up to me and go, hey, I'd love to show you like the brand new stuff that came in. If they ask that, you actually might say yes to that, right? But if they're coming here, you want some help? No, I don't want some help. Like, I want to be left alone. I didn't come here to talk to you, right? But if you go value first, like you said, I love the way you put it. Some bait, right? Some bait. Value is bait, right? Throw something like try to reel them in. Hey, I've got, in the department store, analogy. Hey, I'd love to show you the brand new stuff that just came in. Would you like to take a look at that? Hey, I've got some great specials in the back. Can I point you to that? Great. Let's go. I value first. I love that example because I've been there. Like, I'm in a store and I go there, like, I don't want to talk to you guys. But if they come value first, now it went from 0% chance to 50-50% chance. It's a big increase. 50-50 to zero is significant. That clerk is going to make a lot of money, right? Because now that they're actually getting people to say yes and starting, they're actually, hey, you actually know a lot of stuff that I want to know about, right? So that's a good one. Great example. I love that. They want to just distract you and redirect you, redirect them right back, right? Like, hey,
Right.
well, how about this? How about that? Right. I love that one. Another really common objection, this one's more from the cold calling realm, right? Is, because when you're doing cold calling, when you're doing circle prospect, it's about trying to find potential sellers. Hey, we've got a lot of demand in the area. Look at this, look at that. They could just say no, right? They can just straight up say no, and you might not even be finished with the first line of the script. They go, no, 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 I'm not interested, right? So when you've got that, I like to call that objection. It's the reflexive no. It's the automatic no, right? And I tell ISA, tell folks that like don't take that personal, right? They might not even have heard what you're saying yet, right? They just didn't recognize your voice. I don't even know why you're calling. They just know, hey, this is an unsolicited call. I don't want to talk to you guys. Bye. No, I'm not interested. And the solution to that is no, you are. It's not you are interested. No, no, no. It should be a question. Just a quick question. Do you currently own or do you rent your home? Like redirect. I totally understand. Just a
Yeah.
quick question. Do you own or do you rent your home? Okay, okay, awesome. I'm sure you've thought of maybe upsizing, downsizing, maybe getting a second property. Have you ever thought of anything like that? Because there's a lot of buyers out there looking for homes in your neighborhood. They might not have even heard that at the beginning, by the way. It's very common. We're pumped up as when we're calling. You want to get the script out perfectly. There's a really good chance they didn't hear anything you said the first 5 or 10 seconds at
Yeah.
all. They just didn't recognize your voice. That's how the brain works. You're distracted. Hey, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. Who is this? No, they're not even sure. Restating that, I think, can be powerful. It's just acknowledging, handling, redirecting to the next question, right? Just keep going. Just keep going. This is particularly true, especially true on the cold calling objection, the reflexive no, the automatic no. If you give up on the automatic no, you should give up. You should put down your headset and go do something else, right? That's always
Yeah.
going to happen. You're going to get nowhere if you give up on the automatic no, right? So SO, what's another great example of objections you think every ISA needs to have?
So let me just piggyback of what you were actually saying. That's actually a good way to handle, cold callers because most of them they're just gonna give that automatic no. A good example is it's called framing a question. So you ask basically, okay, yeah, I completely understand, acknowledge, I completely understand that part. But hey, are you interested in perhaps A or B? And you put a frame around that question so you can have a lengthier conversation at the end of the day. So, are you a homeowner or are you renting? That's good a good comeback for that. No, not right now. Okay, let me ask you this. Are you renting or are you a homeowner? And then you're gonna have a lengthier conversation at the end of the day. Another common objection that maybe everybody has heard before, especially with cold callers, is how did you get my information? That's a straight fact. Everybody's going to be interested in that. How did you get my information? Where did you get my information from?
Yeah,
So,
100%. Really common objection. 100%. Like, hey, so I mean, it's the confusion. It might be like from a confused perspective, like, hey, who are you? How'd you get my number? Or it might be from a not very happy, reaction, like, hey,
yeah,
how'd you get my number? Like, what's going on here, right? And another thing you have to have a scripted way because you don't want to like jarble your way through that response. You're not inspiring any confidence if you have
yeah,
no clue
exactly.
or you're not sure or you're kind of not sure what to say and you
Babbling.
sound uneasy, nervous. That's not going to help at all in that kind of situation. They're already putting your intention to question. How'd you get my information? I know I don't want your call. Like, oh, we got it from, blah, 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 blah. Not helping, not helping. You have to have a prepared response. Hey, our IT department put together your name and information with this address, and I'm calling because, and then restate it. You're seeing a lot of demand from buyers in your area. I'm just trying to find more homes for my clients, right? We're just trying to help out. We're trying to help out 25 families this year move into Wisconsin or whatever it is, right? So that's why, right? Acknowledge the objection, handle the objection, move on to the next question, redirect the attention, right? If it's a more serious objection, if they're really stuck on that, you should still approach it the same way. Acknowledge it, respond to it, move on to the next thing. If they're really hung up on that, then acknowledge it again and try a different answer for that one, right? But the strategy should be the same, because 99% of people are going to be fine with that. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, IT department. Fine. That makes sense. Great. I get it. Got off the web. Perfect. Right. I think one of our ISAs used to say Google. Oh, I got it from Google. Right. And people were like, oh, okay, Google's magical. Sure, sure, sure. Right. Maybe in a little while we'll be saying, oh, I got it from ChatGPT. I asked, hey, who's the owner of this property? And what's his phone number? What's his cell phone? Okay, great. Boom, I called it. Right. So maybe you'll see it that at some point, right? Who knows? But the point is, you got to have that response ready to go. Right. And you got to inspire confidence when you answer that question. Another similar one, right? People might be asking, hey, so are you a real estate agent? That's another objection.
Yeah.
I call that an objection, right? Because that can be handled poorly by ISAs. That can be handled the wrong way. I've had ISAs, right, that were in numeral that would say, oh, yeah, I am an agent. No, they're not. And you can't state that they are, right? That's the wrong response, right? That's not a compliant response. And the way we scripted that one is, I assist a real estate agent. Are you a real estate agent? Well, I assist a real estate agent. Acknowledge, respond, redirect. And by the way, do you currently own or do you rent? Right? That's it. That's it. I'm working with ABC Real. I'm working with, John Smith at ABC Realty. I just have a quick question. Do you currently own or rent your home? Right? Because we're seeing a lot of buyers trying to move into the area. You go back into pitching. Right off the bat. That's another really common one. Very, very common one, right? Those aren't really particularly hard to handle, but they are very, very common, and they are very easy to handle poorly, right? That's another thing I would say, but also very easy to handle the right way. So that's when you have to have nailed down. That one should be like practiced, rehearsed, polished, should go out there with a lot of confidence, right? Because you want to make a good impression.
Right. And just adding on top of what you were actually saying, if it makes sense in the mind of the lead of the client that you're calling, if it makes sense, they're going to be, oh, okay, makes sense. And then they're going to let you off the hook,
100%.
basically.
100%. If
So,
it's logical, right? Hey, I'm calling
exactly.
on behalf of my buyers. I just want to find more homes. Oh, okay. Then I totally understand where you're
That makes
calling, because you want to
sense.
help
Okay.
someone. Okay, well, let me
Yeah.
help you help someone. What
And
can we
at the
do here? How can
beginning,
we help?
they could be annoyed. They could be annoyed, but as long as you give them a true response, a logical response, they're like, okay, that makes sense. Well, let me help you then in that case. Yeah, I don't know anybody. But that's how it basically rolls off. And yeah, confidence is always key. I would recommend that whenever somebody is thinking about getting an actual ISA, on their team, if you have made calls in the past and you have had these because sometimes they're pretty particular to a certain area where you're going to hear them more, like it's a different conversation in California than you have in New York or in New Jersey, so there's different responses. So a good idea is always to acknowledge these scenarios and just have like a plan or a comeback, an objection handler that you can use towards the area that you're in specifically. So maybe there's a lot of, hey, how did you get my information? Where people are very sensitive about that stuff, about that
Hmm,
information. And if you as an agent have a very good comeback for that, let your eyes say, no, hey, we got
there you
this
go.
objection handler. Yeah. Let
100%.
let this
That's
is
a
the
really good
response.
point. I think the best situation that I like to see, this is particularly true for cold calling, because it's the hardest kind of calling to do. It's particularly true for that. You're right. When the agent has had experience making these calls, who better than to share some of those objection handlers, those solid, high performing objection handlers than the agent, right? 100%. I
Right.
agree with you. That should be part of, but you should have to listen to every single call. It should be called a call review. Early on, grab the one or two longest calls your ISA's got and fill in those objection handlers. And they should make notes. They should write that down. That's one of the things. You know what I would write, because you're building a script little by little, bit by bit, right? So if your agent has a great objection handler for different situations, 100% you should do that, right? And which brings me to another very common objection, and it's a sign of the times. Actually, there's two. It has kind of two parts of it, right? There's two different ones on the same topic, which is the market conditions, market and market conditions. Okay, one of those objections I like to call, it's the timing the market objection. Timing the market objection. It is, you know what? I am interested, Esau, on getting you property, but you know what? I heard the market's doing really badly. We're at the peak of the market. I don't think this is a smart time to buy. I don't think it's a good time to buy right now. I keep hearing that, right? So I don't think so. I think I'm gonna hold off a little bit while longer. That is I call that the timing the market objection, because it can happen at any time. When the market is climbing, it's like, oh, the market's it's too hot, it's going up too fast. And when it's coming down, oh, I don't want to, it's going down, I don't want to buy right now. So no matter if it's going up or down, you can get the exact same objection, because people feel that if they wait a little longer, they want to buy a property the moment the market shifts, right? And not a day later, not a day earlier, not a day later, and they only want to see upside in their property. That's the idea that they have in their head. And timing the market is just not possible. It's not possible in the stock market. It's not possible in the real estate market. It's just not going to work in the very short term. It is completely unpredictable in the very short term. But in the long term, in the US and Canada, buying property is the best investment you can make, right? In the long term. So ultimately, it's about, when I hear someone like bring this up, I don't recommend ISAs or agents take out their crystal ball and say, oh, I think things are going to be great. I don't think we're going to see any kind of recession, anything. We're fine. I don't recommend you do that, actually, right? Because that lead might be baiting you. They're saying, you know what, I don't think it's a good time to buy. And if you respond with, it's a great time to buy, they're just trying to see what you say, right? They might be baiting you on that and just see what kind of response you give. My recommendation when you hear that objection about the market, about is it going to crash, is this the recession, this or that, I would say, well, let me ask you a question, right? What's driving you, right, to make this change? What's your main motivation? Because it's all about motivation. It's all about motivation, okay? We just came off of 2023. There were less than 3.8 million homes sold in America in 2023. The normal number is 5 million. It's a big difference. Almost 25% difference from one year to the next. It's massive. It's massive, okay? And last year, there was a few months there where only the most motivated people were making a move. Interest rates went up. The fear of recession went through the roof. There was a few months where only the people that were the most motivated could make the move. Your job is to find the motivation, right? Because no one wakes up thinking, it's a great day today. I think I'll sell a house. I think I'll buy a house. No one does that, right? It's not how you feel that day. It is usually a big, big, big life change that's driving you buying a new property, selling a property and buying a new property. You're upsizing, downsizing, job relocation, divorce, diapers, new baby. There's something massive driving you to do that, okay? So whenever people throw out objections about the timeline and the market and this and that, the response should be, let's talk about why. Let's try to drill on motivation, right? Because I don't think you're going to convince them that the interest rates are not that high, right? Some go, interest rates, but historically interest rates are really low. Probably true, but no, they weren't buying a home 25 years ago, right? So it doesn't really matter. It's the market of today, and interest rates are higher than they were, right? From only 2 or 3 years ago, which I think is nuts. So I say double down on motivation. Only the most motivated buy in a shifting market, right? That's true. So just qualify motivation. The other one, really similar objection, is interest rates. I want to buy, but man, that interest rate just hit this number, right? And if it's, man, I just got quoted this crazy number on interest rates. Number one, if they got quoted something, means they've talked to a loan officer, which means you got to talk to them ASAP, right? They're motivated. They've gone to see if they can qualify. They're way further ahead in the process. That's a great point to talk to them and go, well, and this is where ISAs and agents need to educate themselves, because interest rates, they can be managed in a lot of these markets, right? Either through seller buy downs, they buy down the interest rate, 2-1 buy downs. You've got people off like builders, new construction builders offering huge incentives to buy now. They'll pay for the lowering of the rate. There's a lot of different options, right? But you got to tell them, you know what? I think we've got some options for you. We just helped one of our clients close a loan at this percentage, right? And would you like to learn more about how we did that? Okay, great. Let me tell you more, right? And there might be probably going to be a seller buy down or a builder buy down or a buyer 2-1 buy down to just get them in a home with a better interest rate, right? So those are my recommendations. When you hear like the timing, the market condition kind of objections, double down the motivation and have some examples ready to go, like some recent success, some wins to get people off the fence. Oh, I see. Someone else did that. Okay, great. Let me see if I can do that, right? So get them off.
Yeah, it's always good to remember that a client is not gonna know what they don't actually know, and that's why you're there to help them. You're the expert. You're
100%.
the one that's gonna redirect them to what they need. Because at the end of the day, it's always a good idea to, be quizzing them, asking them questions, what they want to do in their in the upcoming years. How's their family? What are their expectations? What are their motivations? So once you know that, you can guide them through the process. And at the end, like we were saying at the beginning, bait equals value, and value equals bait. That's how you're going to get them to actually work with you. If you're the one that's introducing them to all this information, oh, this agent's really knowledgeable. I may stick around. Maybe they say, you know what, it's not the time for me, but they at least got to know you, and you're going to be the one that they're going to come back to if you gave them that information. Most people, if we feel pressured, we don't want to make the move. But as long as we have somebody that's knowledgeable, that's what we want. That's what we look for, and that's what we search as well.
I got you. Yeah, 100%. I think it's a great opportunity to add some value, right? And it's because, a lot of times they're asking that question because they want reassurance,
Mhm.
right? Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to make a big mistake here. If
In the
they
beginning,
haven't hung up the phone, they're trying to see what you say to see if what you says is reassuring in any way. Is it reassuring? Or is it more fear, right? I saw agents last year saying, no, no one should buy. It's a terrible time to buy. Don't buy, right? And I'm like, people don't like make polls of real estate agents on whether they should buy or not, right? People buy or sell based on their personal situation, personal circumstances. That's it. Period. In the story. We shouldn't be, so out there thinking that we're going to convince them to buy or sell on the phone. Nope. What you want is uncover their motivation. It's all about that. That's what's going to get them to buy or sell. It's not going to be you, no matter how good you are at objection handling. They're not going to buy a home over the phone. Right? That's just not going to work. It's going to take more than that. But are they willing to, let you in on some of those details? I think it's important. So I think we have time for one more. So, any specific objection that comes to mind that you want to help tackle, or should I grab another one from my list?
well, the one that I've seen for FISBOs particularly is that they don't.
Mm,
Yeah, FISBOs are always going to say, you know what, I don't need an agent. I can sell for myself. That's one of the biggest ones that I've
yeah,
encountered
100%.
whenever reaching out FISBOs. I can do it myself. But when you start asking questions like, okay, like you have sold a property in the past before. Yeah, I've done that. And they think it's easy in today's market. So
Yeah,
once you get to talking to them, okay, so and always ask questions. You should always tell your ISAs to be inquisitive about any situation. Okay, so how long was that ago? Oh, you know what? 2016, the market was good. It was pretty easy, pretty simple. But times change, and they might not be aware of that as well. So that's one of the objections that we encounter
yeah.
a lot. I've sold in the past before. Why do I need an agent?
Yeah, I think it's a really that's a good one. I think the objections you get from expired and FISBO and canceled listings, those are tougher. In general,
They're
they're
tough.
just tougher, right?
Yeah.
Because this is a motivated seller. I mean, this is different than circle prospect. This is different than inbound internet leads. These people like are raising their hand trying to get their property sold. The FISBO without an agent, they're still a motivated seller. They just don't have an agent. The expired listing not only tried to sell, they hired an agent. They were willing to pay a commission. They just couldn't do it. Right? It didn't happen for them. So they're much more qualified prospects compared to the others. But the way that I like to approach FISBO, and this is what I recommend a lot of people do. One of our coaches, Coach John D. Smith, recommends this approach as well. He says when you're early on with the FISBO, like calling them the first day, everyone should call them the first day. Should call them. early on, they are very motivated that they can sell the property on their own. Their motivation is at its all-time high the first day, the first couple of days. Their motivation is high right now. Okay. So the likelihood of them wanting to give up and list with an agent is just lower. Although I heard several stories from Coach John DeSmit that he would get people to sign on the first day, right? Because he would just talk about them. He'd inspire a lot of confidence. And he'd also say, hey, this is going to be tough, not easy. And like the last thing I have is time coming over, right? Let's figure something out. So that's possible, but typically when you're calling on the first day, you're going to get that objection. No, I'm good. I don't need an agent right now. I'm going to sell it on my own. I'm going to see. I'm going to give it a shot. Okay, great. And my recommended response is, hey, that's awesome. And you have a great looking property. I'm sure you can sell it on your own. But in case something happens, right? I'd love to throw my hat in the ring and be your plan B, me and my team. How does that sound? Is it okay if I check in with you over the next few weeks and just see how things are going and if we can offer any help? Does that make sense? Okay, great. Right. So since their motivation is an all-time high at the beginning, you just want to put your foot in the door slightly in the beginning. Hey, I know you can sell it yourself and it probably looks great. You probably will, right? But just in case, can I follow up with you? And John D. Smith says between weeks 2 and 3, reality has started setting in, right? Like, hey, this is not going to sell itself. Not going to sell right away. Okay. I've gotten a couple of offers, but they're super low ball offers, right? Like, oh, no, that's not what I want, right? So reality starts to set in, and then you got to be ready to pounce on it. You got to be ready to interject and say, okay, great. I see this is harder than you thought. How about you let a pro handle this, right? Are you ready to have a conversation with my agent about how a better marketing plan, more aggressive, more effective plan can get your home sold, right? Probably for more money than you're gonna get on your own. Does that make sense? Yeah, sure, great, let's go. So, but it is about planting the seed, then that first contact, and then follow at least weekly, sometimes twice a week. If it's a good FSBO, like a great property, twice a week should be following up and adding value, helping them out, answering questions, and then trying to close for that appointment. And are they ready to consult with my agent to see what they can do, right? So you can learn what my agent does to help sell these homes, for sale by owner. So there you go. Love it, man. So appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining us again. Repeat guest here on the show. I will see everybody on the next one. Thanks, everybody.